Hello, my name is Glenn Dyer, and you are watching a Dyer-Situation. Today I'm seeing 10 Cloverfield Lane. Woo! A movie I'm actually somewhat excited for. That's new. Anyway, this is apparently a sequel, continuation in the anthology of Cloverfield. Continuing from Cloverfield. Never mind, to this day I still have not seen the movie Cloverfield. I just mostly know that a lot of people were disappointed with it, and I know that it was about a giant monster. And that's it. So, but luckily, from what I can tell from the teaser trailer for this, which is great, and just the general hubbub, that this isn't really a, that it really doesn't matter whether or not you saw Cloverfield. I mean, the thing, like, its name is very different. 10 Cloverfield Lane has a very different implication than just Cloverfield. So, from what I can tell, they're probably just, like, making it an anthology series, and if this movie's successful, in a few years, we'll get, like, I don't know, Letters from Cloverfield or something, like, just something totally different. Because this movie looks to be more about, at least from the trailer, John Goodman, keeping people in his house and going War of the Worlds on them. I don't know if you saw that Spielberg War of the Worlds. There was a creepy guy who was sheltering our heroes in his house, and then but it turns out he was kind of crazy and wanted to start a race of mole people or something. So, I don't know, I'm thinking that that's going to kind of be the plot of this, but expanded into a full movie. Which I don't mind, because that plotline needed expanding in the original War of the Worlds. That's kind of brushed over, like, it's a little serious. Like, literally, his whole plan was like, well, we can't beat the Martians, so we'll dig underground and start our own race of people living underground, and build a utopia under there. Which means I have to have sex with your daughter right now. Yeah. At least in the Spielberg version. I believe that mole people thing was in the other versions, just not the, child rape. Thank God. I don't think H.G. Wells would have approved of that particular aspect. But oh well. Moving on. So... yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting the implication from the teaser, but who knows, the teaser might be lying. Who knows, it's a teaser. I have nothing wrong with teaser trailers. Just the fact that most trailers are not that way. Instead, they're complete spoiling of the plot trailers. That's why I don't typically watch them. And the only way I do end up watching them is because they keep on flashing onto my screen, like... and I can't get rid of them for 5 to 15 to 30 seconds. Anyway, back to the movie at hand. I'm thinking this is gonna be good. Maybe a little scary. Maybe a little Cloverfieldy. Let's see. Okay, first off, pretty bad experience at the beginning of the movie. There was somebody in the middle of the theater who, throughout the beginning of the movie, kept on falling asleep and snoring incredibly loudly. And I know it wasn't just because of the film, because I walked in right after the previews and he was already fast asleep and snoring. And I think until about the half-hour mark, finally, like, he was ushered out of there. Like, just because people were complaining. And, geez. Feel sorry for the guy. He's probably having a hard time there, but I also felt sorry for myself, because I was missing what was An awesome movie. Especially the beginning. It's really interesting. It was done almost completely silently, and I probably missed out on a few subtle little winks because, well, you know, guys snoring in the audience, but it was still, like, gripping. It still brought you into the whole story here. Throughout the whole film, there's, like, a giant sense of dread and mystery to it. Let me give you a setup. So basically, John Goodman, who is incredibly scary in this film, by the way, basically he's locked up a main character and this other person in his subterranean bomb shelter because he says that the nukes or chemical weapons or something has gone off outside, the air is toxic, and they have to remain in here for however many years until it blows over. Now, of course, she doesn't believe him at first, but then more things happen. Suddenly it seems like maybe it is happening, or is it? Or maybe it is. But what else is John Goodman hiding? You know, it's just a big mystery movie, and very tense. And the scenes of and you know, just like just good. Now there was one glaring problem though. Throughout the most of the film, 90% of the film, 95 even, awesome, great, good movie. And then the ending. That ending was so bad, so unbelievably stupid, that I left the film honestly feeling worse than when I got in. And I had just come out of seeing The Brothers Grimsby, so that was an accomplishment. I think it was an even bigger letdown because it was such a good movie leading up to it. And then we got a Stephen King ending. I would almost suspect that this thing was written by Stephen King and be looking it up right now on IMDb like a doofus, but no, it's not set in Maine. It doesn't involve a psychic or anything like that. But the ending is incredibly stupid and kind of a letdown. Throughout the whole movie, we don't know anything about what happened outside, or even if for sure anything happened outside. And at the end, it's totally revealed, and it's incredibly stupid. And I can think of ways in order to fix it, but I'm not going to get into that. I think I'm just going to wrap this up, maybe give a few more things, and then go into spoilers, because I really don't like giving spoilers, but there are times when it just has to happen in order for me to vent this. So, just overall, it's still a good movie, and despite that bad ending, I can recommend it. Now, bear in mind, I don't think this is like an epic return to horror or something. This isn't like It Follows or anything like that. In fact, I'd probably classify this more as a thriller than a horror film. But, that being said, it's still a good movie. You know, just because the last 5 minutes or so ruined it for me doesn't mean it has to ruin it for you too. Just watch it and see for yourself. The build-up and the mystery is very good. And John Goodman's performance in this is amazing. I never thought that, like, that kindly, plump dude from Roseanne could be so evil. Or, like, so scary, I should say. He's not necessarily evil, but God. And I don't want to run into John Goodman in a dark alley, jeez. So, yeah, for those of you who don't want to skip to the score, I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. And now we're getting to spoilers Um, spoiler warning, you've been warned, spoilers. Right. So throughout the whole movie, well, basically, throughout the beginning of the movie, we have no idea, we kind of assume what the main character assumes too, that John Goodman has just locked her down in there to kidnap her. And she tries to escape, but somebody is actually outside and is actually dying from, the poison gas. And that convinces her that the outside is, in fact, toxic. So she comes up with a different plan that involves building a homemade gas mask and gas suit. And it was actually clever, how she went about that and all. And then, long story short, she manages to escape. And when she goes outside, she finds that it's aliens! And then one of them comes by in the big ship, and there's this giant four-legged alien that's running after her, and there's this giant spaceship alien that comes and starts floating gas over her. Whoa! And she had already taken her mask off and found the air wasn't poisonous, so she runs back to the mask, and she puts it back on, and she tapes it around her neck, and everything's great. She gets inside the car, and the car is being picked up by the aliens, and the aliens... the alien machine is going to start eating her. So, what does she do? She makes a Molotov cocktail out of some stuff that are in the sea. She throws it into the alien's mouth and it blows to smithereens. And then, once she falls to the ground, it cuts to black. Is she dead? No, she's perfectly fine, actually. So she runs into the other car that's nearby from the dead lady, and then she drives off, and she hears a radio signal that says, "We need help from people with military experience to come to Houston and help us win the battle." And then as she drives off to Houston, we see light in the sky, 'cause all the aliens are converging on her, and she's gonna kick some ass. Fuck, that was awful. After such a build-up, after all that tension of just being in the control of someone who's might be mentally unstable, someone who's well armed against you, it's like Misery. In fact, throughout most of the movie, our characters are actually injured, so it adds that extra level, and it's just a great build-up. It's a great mystery, and then once we find out that is what it was building up to, can you even imagine? That is incredibly awful. That really is something Stephen King would write up. The only thing I can figure for why they went with something so terrible is because Cloverfield, the original one, it's about a giant monster, right? So they're like, well, we have to keep it supernatural, otherwise it's not a Cloverfield movie. But why? And if you did feel like you had to be in Aliens, there was a perfect point where she stands up on her car and she sees what's going on, and she sees the aliens floating above, and she says, "You gotta be fucking kidding me." And that did break me out of the movie, so I was thinking, oh, they're gonna end it now. And no, they go into the big spiel. We could have totally ended it there, and I would have said, well, that's a silly line, but I would have been okay with it. And no, instead they have to draw it out and turn it into some sort of shitty Resident Evil movie or whatever. And, God. And we just had to ruin what was an amazing experience. What was such a great movie is torn down in 5 minutes by such a terrible, not thought out, not very well designed climactic battle. I don't get it. I really don't get it. the main obstacle in the movie wasn't just the fact that she's underground, it's the fact that she has to deal with John Goodman, who's kind of insane and has killed people. Like, that was the main cause here. And she gets out of that place shortly after killing him. So, the movie's over. Why are you continuing it like this? Why ruin it for us? Are you planning on continuing this? Like, as I said, it kind of reminded me of the ending of that stupid Resident Evil movie. Like, are they planning on making 10 Cloverfield Lane sequels? I thought this was an anthology series now. What is with that ending? Like, seriously, is it suddenly going to be a movie where she's going around shooting aliens in the head? I don't want to see that. I didn't want that in my 10 Cloverfield Lane movie. I didn't need that in my 10 Cloverfield Lane movie. What the hell? So yeah, that's my vent. Overall, the movie is still good. I have to say that, but the ending is such a letdown. Like, honestly, this movie probably would be an 8 or maybe even a 9 if it weren't for that. Such a disappointment. I really hope that if they make another Cloverfield thing like that, that either they keep up that kind of tone from the beginning, so we already know, like, so basically you build it up to be a stupid action film from the beginning, so that way the ending doesn't feel out of place, or that you don't include a stupid action scene at the end. Make your choice. That's all I ask. And until next time, I'm Glenn Dyer, and you have been watching A Dyer-Situation.